Okay, we are now live. Let me just wait for Daniel to join. Okay. Let's see if he joins. Okay, it says we're live, but no one's joined yet, so see if Instagram wants to work for us. And we'll see Daniel can join. Let's, one sec. Cancel that. Might have to just nip out and see if it's working. One sec. So I'm going live. Is it? Oh, you're on the phone, bro.
You want me to try?
Yeah, Daniel's not joining, so I don't know if.
Sometimes Instagram links are weird.
What should I do? End it and then re-thingy it.
Try it. Sometimes takes a minute.
Right. Is it showing up or not? No. Alright, never mind. Right, we're gonna have to try this again. Oh wait, no, he's joined. Cosmic Commando sent you a request. Here we go. Go live. Can you join, mate? Can you? How do you do the accept? Oh, there we go.
Here we go, look,
Right,
we are live.
Yeah, I was getting a bit worried then because Cecilia was saying sometimes Instagram likes to, not promote your live or whatever, but it looks like it's working now.
And
Happy days.
good evening, Dean. How you doing, my friend? My mate Dean here.
Oh, hi, Dean.
Yeah, Dean's a good friend of mine. Dean's been with me on my journey. Big up to you, Dean. I know you're going through a bit of rough stuff at the minute. I won't go into it. But we are hopefully meeting up for some food. There seems to be a
Happy
few more
days. Yeah,
people
Thomas.
join. Aaron,
Hi,
good
Thomas.
evening, Aaron. How we doing? Five. We're getting there, aren't we?
Yeah, we're getting some people in there. These are probably all from you.
Potentially, but potentially your side as well.
Yeah.
One's
Nice
dropped down.
guy. We just give it a couple of minutes and then we'll just shoot into the questions that I have. Hello, nice guy. How you doing? Oh, have you froze there, Daniel? It looks like you froze. Yeah, the connection's not the best. Oh, view request, go live. Let's see. The connect. There we go. He joined. Hey, you think he dropped off there? Can't hear. So I can see you, Daniel, mate, but I can't hear you. Can everyone hear me, by the way? That's in the live. Right, let's see. Right,
Is
back.
that any better?
Yeah, you're back. You're back in now.
I think for future reference, you need to send me the request, because when I've sent the request, it just seems to play up a little bit, to be honest.
Does it?
Mm, I'm not sure why. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're down to one now. People have got frustrated, but that's fine.
Yeah, it is what it is. I'm going to re-upload this on YouTube anyway for people to watch. So
Nice, nice. So
yeah,
do you want to crack on?
yeah, let's go for it.
Mm.
So for those who don't know that joining, this is my good friend Daniel. He's a ex Royal Marines commando. How many years did you do again? Was it seven,
No,
eight, six,
6 years to be fair.
six
Yeah.
years? Yeah, long enough.
Yeah, in the mill, as they say, in the
Yeah,
mill.
yeah. And I'm not going to say your full story because Daniel's already got a podcast out there on his Instagram handle about his full story. So this is about deprogramming the mind, and I think it'd be beneficial for people listening to hear what works for us, what has worked for us, because I think not only, I mean, as veterans, we've got that, I suppose, that extra layer of programming that we can choose to program, as well as societal trauma, past lives, childhood trauma, all of that stuff. So I think it'll be inspiring for people.
Mm.
Right. I'm just going to crack in with the questions. So, Daniel, what is programming, and what do we mean when we say programming or deprogramming?
So I think when we look at programming, we have to look in the simplest term. It's what we've learned inherently through our parental guidance. And when we talk about that on a bigger scale, it's ancestral. So how your parents were taught, their parents were taught, and their parents were taught, and it just rolls down the hill like a domino effect. And that's not to say that the teaching you got from your parents are bad, but I feel in an ever-changing world, there are valuable lessons to be learned by becoming the parent and and the parent becoming the child.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I would say what I say. I would say that your parents have done the best job they could ever do, but in a world where information is so freely ready available, what we look to do is self-education. And that consists of a kind of, I wouldn't say necessarily deprogramming, more like a rebooting, to see things from your own perspective instead of a learnt behavior perspective. That's what I would say it is: deprogramming, rebooting, giving the hard drive a bit of a clean.
Yeah,
Um, and I'd say in shamanism, I've got a few books over there. There are stages in your life that you pass through, and they are, for example, your first love, um, your sweet 16, your just time you have children, and then when you become grandparents. They're all very critical times in your life, and you pass through different stages of enlightenment. And a lot of people move into this space quite naturally with the flow of the universe. But for people that have had past life traumas, whether it be bullying as a child abuse, they've been involved in incidences, or they've broken limbs or had accidents, every negative experience you have in your life will not necessarily sit in your conscious mind, but it will sit deeply rooted in your subconscious mind. And with a bit of work, you can really begin to unpack what troubles you and creates you with the self-sabotaging and the negative behavioral loops that we all sadly fall into.
mm-hmm.
Um, does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does. And actually, that brings me on to my next question, because there's going to be people out there potentially that watch this and they'll have no idea what subconscious or unconscious or conscious or super conscious or any of that. They don't really know about any of those things. And I'm still learning as well, to tell you the truth. So, I mean, I'm just going to set the stage a little bit with the mind. So, as far as I'm aware, there's different layers to it. Like you said, subconscious, conscious, unconscious, super conscious. What are those to you, and why is each one as important to kind of reprogram that mind, if you
Yeah.
like?
So I think the caveat I would initially put out there is I am not a medical
Yeah.
professional. Um, mine is I walk the journey as a wounded healer. That's what we say in shamanism. So through life experience, which I won't go into, there are podcasts if anyone is interested. But um, we have different parts of the brain, and a good book to pick up should you have the money. I think it's about £10 off Amazon. Is called The Pathway Through the Jungle by Stephen Peters. I've done a week or 2 weeks open university degree course, or not degree course on it. But you have the amygdala, which is the reptilian part of the brain, which is your fight and flight, which is where your base level responses come from. You have your amygdala, you have your hippocampus, you have your neocortex, and then in and around that you have your left and right hemisphere. On top of that, you have your pineal gland, your pituitary gland, and those glands there they contribute to not only the natural production of dimethyltryptamine, which is what you find in ayahuasca from the root bark, but
Hmm.
also serotonin and dopamine. And so when we use different parts of our brain, it warrants different responses. So when we sit in our lower in spiritualism, we say we sit in our lower mind, or we say our lower base emotions. We refer to chakras as in your solar plexus chakra and your root chakra. This is the lower state of consciousness that we sit in, and ultimately with some simple changes to potentially clean eating, filtered water, non-fluoride toothpaste, meditation, that the aim would be to gradually ascend up into the chakra, the heart chakra,
Mm.
which is what Jesus Christ spoke about, speaking from the heart. And talking about speaking from the heart, I've literally just made a lovely cup of cacao, Peruvian organic
Lovely.
cacao, which is in shamanic terms is they call it heart chakra opening medicine. It's got cinnamon, almond milk, full fat milk, and lion's mane, and a bit of cinnamon. I said that, didn't I? And a bit of honey. Um, and with more meditation, and meditation isn't just what we perceive it to be, is like a Buddha on top of a hill in the half lotus position, chanting Om, although that is a universal frequency of life, the coming together of those two vows. Um, it's about doing something that stimulates you, that you thoroughly enjoy, but being present in the moment. And for those that don't understand being present, the way I would describe that to you would be we in the Western world predominantly are 1,000 miles an hour. And
Yeah.
so we'd be engaging in a conversation with someone, but in the subconscious part of our mind, we're already thinking about what we're moving on to
Yeah.
do next and what
I'm
we've
already
got.
doing it now.
um, so it's not something that comes overnight. Like I say, I've done four
Yeah.
years of therapy through combat stress, the Royal British Legion, Rock to Recovery, Op Courage, to name but a few. Um, and it's with those and picking up books.
Yeah.
It's with that insight and that opportunity to have done so much therapy that again we have to understand that it's all right doing the therapy, but we must understand that unless we make it second nature. Good evening, what mama, how are we doing?
Hi,
Um, unless
Camille.
um, unless we can have all so refer to it as a guitar. You could have all
Yeah.
the strings in a guitar, but if you aren't consciously aware and mindful that you have to put into practice the things you've learned through therapy, through dealing with trauma, for example, it's not going to become second nature. So meditation is just becoming more mindfully aware of your surroundings. Doing so good. Love you, brave man. Thank you
Oh,
so much, lovely. Um, so yeah, and then ultimately we then once we ascend from the crown, the heart chakra, we ascend into the throat chakra, which is what I would say in spiritualism is the meat suit or the body that we are in now is merely a vessel for the soul. And so what is coming through now is a vibrational force, which is my soul coming through. And so what we aim is to speak from the heart into the throat. And we do that by being ever present and mindful and understanding that we have to regulate our emotions. And that consists
yeah,
of being, well, as we say in the military, we say it in the anagram of clap. It's clear, loud, as an order, with pauses, being mindful that not everybody can reciprocate and uplift the information that's being digested. And then ultimately, we then end up in the crown chakra, which is to do with the third
how are you
eye.
doing, Joe?
Good evening, Joe.
No,
Uh, and when we ascend into the crown chakra, we reach a stage of enlightenment, and then it's up to us to pursue the tree of life, which is our brain and our spinal cord and our ability to assimilate information. And we ever pursue the thirst for knowledge. And I think, like all famous yogis and prophets, what made them so good was their thirst for knowledge, to never be
yes,
happy. And so, back to meditation, we must become ever more mindful and present in the moment by slowing not only our thought processes down, but how we move in our physical body also.
yes,
Does that clear that up? Does that make sense?
absolutely, mate. Yeah, I appreciate all of this information that you're sharing with everyone.
Hmm.
Um, Next topic that I want to cover, I think it plays an important role to all of this, is willpower. And
Yes.
generally, this is like an ego thought I had. I was having this kind of conversation with the wife earlier, and I was like, it seems like a lot of the younger generation don't have that strong willpower, or even a lot of people around me. I know that sounds quite judgmental, and it was. And actually, people that, for example, that aren't enjoying their job or their life, and they're choosing to go work at 9 to 5, that actually requires strong willpower to go and do that over and over again. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So as a
100%.
caveat, I didn't think about that way. Um, so yeah, what is the importance of willpower, and how can you practice it? How can you what do you do personally to practice willpower to get more of it, get more will?
Yeah,
Hi,
excuse
love.
me as my dog comes in. Rupert, Donna, be careful. So for me, as you and I have spoken, Liam, I've obviously
Yeah.
got ulcerative colitis, stage 2 Crohn's, and so I was in hospital last year. And for me, regaining willpower and boundaries, it started off by going down the fasting route because I knew that if I could ascertain some level of control of my bowel spasms, my bowel movements, i.e., the digestion of my food, if I could abstain from food, the outcome would be my large and small intestine would then get a rest, and then the fallout from that was over an extended period of time. I increased from 12 hours to 24 to 36 to 48 to basically 3 days, and I've done 4 days now without food,
Have you?
just fresh pressed juice
Yeah.
and water, filtered water, maybe a little bit of lemon, a bit of salt in there. Um, but what inspired me to do that, and again, I would ask you to seek direction under any professional medical advisor before doing it, was what I instantaneously noticed was how much sharper cognitively I became by understanding that not every calorie we put inside our body has a positive impact on our mental and physical state. For example, if you are putting in over processed, easily accessible foods, there's a high possibility that a lot of that will be at a calorie deficit in comparison to the amount of energy your body is going to need to consume. And if you're snacking every 2 to 3 hours, if not more regularly than that, you've got to imagine that your body is redirecting multiple amounts of energy to your digestive system, thus leaving you at a shorter level of energy because you're digesting food that has no calorific value to you. So
Mm.
for me, it was health based, but I think we must be more mindful and acknowledge that we are creatures of habit. And
Yeah,
unless we become more present in the beautiful moment that is Mother Earth, we can't even begin to understand, and I don't mean this horribly, how inherently lazy we become through the social conditioning that we've inherited from ancestral lineage of parenting. Um, and for years, we've been like when I was in the Marines, we used to eat 3 times a day, and then we'd have something called 9 o'clockers, and there'd be big carb heavy meals, but you'd
yeah,
be burning it
yeah,
because of the physical exercise you were doing. But we'd be snacking in between, Mars bar here, Twix there, marathons the older people, a banana here, an apple there. But for me, I've really had to look at what I put in my body, and I've become super clean and have done for a considerable time, but it ultimately hadn't helped because obviously there was a lot of stress going on. And until you can be aware of what is stressing you or the external stresses that influence your internal stresses, you can't really get a grip on what you're doing. So back to the initial question, which is boundaries and willpower. Like another example would be when you come home from work, because work is a dross, right? Not everyone loves their job, and we in society confuse happiness for being comfortable
mm,
because it's so easy just to blur the lines. A lot of us are not happy in our job roles, but because financially it is quite rewarding and pleasing and allows us to maintain a standard of living that we now can't perceive going without, we're unwilling to take risks on new ventures. Thus, we sit in the realms of I'm happy, but I'll moan
yeah,
about my job all day. And when we manifest being unhappy, it's a karmatic cycle that just keeps repeating itself. And I won't go down, but words are but spells, and the best way to cut a man down is through his tongue. It's not through violence. And the same goes for your internal thought processes. If if you are manifesting negativity, I'm unhappy, I'm not enjoying my job, I want this, I want that, I can't achieve it. You are feeding into a negative feedback loop, which is detrimental to not only your physical but your mental health, thus being caught in the loop. So I would suggest for the people that are engaging, instead of going home after a hard day's work and thinking, oh, I've had a really rubbish day today, instead of going home and putting on Netflix and chilling, take that initial step of furthering yourself by picking up a book that you have a keen eye for, something you have an interest for. It may not help you in the first step, but what it is showing you is a certain amount of willpower to then change the cycle and habit that you are so deeply locked into. Um,
yeah,
does that make sense? Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, even the small wins. Like I'm sure you will appreciate this, especially being like ex-serviceman. Something that I've started to practice is before I eat my food is just take even just a couple of seconds of like like appreciation and thanks for this and slowing down,
Yeah, man.
because I don't know about you, mate. Like
Yeah.
I just scram my food, I wouldn't even taste it.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
and it's gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So I can add on that. So when I first initially started fasting and being ever so more mindful about what I was doing with my, and I don't say this lightly, and I have to be careful what I say because there are some people out there that don't understand our journey. But with my innate connection to Father Sky and Mother Earth, I would chew my food a certain amount of times, and that time
Mm,
would be 33 times. And by chewing my food repetitively for 33 times, not only was I acknowledging to myself that I was actually digesting the food more by breaking it down in my mouth, I was then lifting up my thoughts, which is a vibrational frequency emitted from the brain, which is always transmuting low vibrations, whatever you're thinking, because that's how this world works and how your body works. So effectively, you are not only creating more positive feedback loops, but you are becoming more mindful. And I was doing it today. You
Yeah.
know, we are creatures of habit. And if you can break that cycle and implement something as simple as pausing, looking, having appreciation, and then being conscious enough to think, this is my favorite food right now, and I've been at work all day, and all I want to do is get it down my neck, go upstairs, have a shower, and then go lie down.
Yeah.
But this can go one of two ways. I could wolf this all down and run upstairs, have a shower, and lie down in the bed, or I could just take my time and be very thankful for the gifts that are placed upon me, whether I've worked for them in financial value or not. This food's been prepared for me. I prepared it myself. It's come from Mother Earth. The sun has blessed it by growing it by the natural light, whether it be vegetables or it's livestock. You know, like just be more aware of where your food comes from and how it's got to your plate, whether it be your wife or a partner that's cooked it for you and that's taken the time to think about you and your needs and thank them for it and be like, thank you, babes. I really, really appreciate that. Or if you've done it yourself, be like, good effort, you've done all right there. But it's just about taking your time, and that breeds mindfulness.
Yeah. It's like you say, don't you? Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Love
Slow
that.
is smooth and smooth is fast.
Yeah, I love
Amen.
that.
Yeah,
So if
man.
you're
Yeah, man.
watching this, Cecilia, thanks for that dinner yesterday. It was lovely. I already said thank you yesterday. Just
Yeah,
having a
yeah.
laugh.
Nothing wrong with saying thanks again. It
Oh
goes a
yeah,
long way, right?
it
It
does,
goes a
mate.
long, long way.
And yeah, these little small wins are they're so big, aren't they?
They
They're
are.
so big. Yeah, even though it doesn't seem like it is. Like, all right, if I'm just taking 5 seconds before I eat to, appreciate the food that I'm given, that actually helps your consciousness expand. I feel like it has. It already is for
You,
me.
Moonwalk, Camille, you're literally on the
Yep,
end of my tongue. I was going to say gratitude. The attitude of gratitude is so powerful.
yep,
Yes. Amen, sister. Thank you for that comment.
it
Beautiful.
is.
You are a beautiful soul. You are
We'll
very
have to
much a
get
beautiful soul.
speaking about words, we'll have to get Smudge on here, the
Yeah,
wordsmith.
yeah. At some point, let's we can discuss that. I tried reaching out to him earlier on. He spoke to me, and he was a bit busy, I think. So
Yeah,
yeah, we'll talk more about that off here, I think, at some
yeah,
point, and get that going.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, did you want to say something? Yeah,
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously, I am a massive advocate of this book, guy. It's called The Pathway Through the Jungle, Stephen Peters, the chimp mind model, which obviously breaks down the mind and the left and right amygdala, hippocampus, and the neocortex. But
Oh,
there's also another gentleman that lives up the road from me called Richard Rudd, and he is the designer of the Gene Keys. Again, this book can be bought off Amazon for about £20, and if you go across to SoundCloud or sign up to Gene Key's website, this talks about the 54 heliocentric DNA strand that is inside of you, which currently scientists suggest that there are roughly 48 that we are using. That's 24 masculine and 24 feminine. So that means there is a deficit of six, if not more, that are dormant. And the gene key, it talks about the shadow and the siddhi and the progression through understanding yourself. And so every part of your DNA has something locked inside of it. And so let me flick quickly. So what we at here? We're at Gene Key 38. That's folded, and it's the warrior of light. So the shadow is the struggle. Then the gift is perseverance, and then the siddhi, which is the highest form of like eye-opening third eye enlightenment, is honor. Um, a fight without purpose, it says. And again, I can't reiterate
Mm,
enough that I've always picked up books since a kid. But through the complexities of being a father and a husband and just busy working, I switched TV from books, and I kind of look back and think that's a long period of time that I didn't read. And this time you can't get back, and we must not dwell in the past, but we are losing touch with our ability to pick up what I know to be is wisdom, the keys of the universe. There are there are millions, there are 8 billion people around this world that have far more knowledge than one person like you and I sat here now. And so when we read a book, we're taking on someone else's perspective on what they feel to be right and true in their human experience. And it may be right or it may be wrong, but by default, if you can pick up someone else's experience and digest it, again, you are furthering your state of consciousness and expanding ultimately into a higher version of yourself. So I just can't press enough about picking up a book, really.
yeah. No, I can agree with that. I was against books for a long time. It got forced on me when I was a kid, so I had a bit of a rebellious side of I'm not reading. But
Were they forced or were you reciprocal to it? Was there a fear that you were you not a good reader, maybe? Did you struggle with reading, so therefore you
yeah,
didn't want to read?
yeah, it was probably a bit of both, to be honest. Now that you said that, yeah, it was probably like fear of meeting my dad's expectations and then getting told off for
Yeah. Which
not
is
saying a word. But
it's a mini trauma, isn't it? And I don't say that
yeah, yeah,
lightly.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
and that has stopped you from pursuing your higher self, is what I would say, through a childhood experience that, unless we talk and unpack it, you probably wouldn't acknowledge it as maybe a slightly fear-based response to the child through not being up to what we'd say is the norm or your peers because you
Mhm.
struggled.
Yeah,
And we must understand that everyone uplifts and assimilates information at a different download or upload speed. And you can never compare yourself to any other person than yourself. And the person you should be winning the race for and beating and competing against is yourself
yeah,
because you want to be the best possible version of yourself.
yeah. I love that, mate. And
Hmm.
yeah, I hope this kind of authenticity of two two grown men of just having this conversation is inspiring for anyone else tuning in. Like, it's yeah, you don't have to be afraid to talk about this, and
No.
when we do talk about it, I think we release that we release it, and put it out to the universe and heal. Like you said, it's a healing journey.
It
We're all
is.
healing. I think everyone's
Yeah.
got healing to do. But have you got anything else, or has anyone got any questions? Because I've read all my questions. We've got a couple of people joining now. Yeah, if
Well, this is
anyone's got any questions, put it in the chat, or if you've got anything, Daniel, just feel free,
well.
mate.
I thought I would share, like, so as you guys know, I'm due to send some of this to you. I haven't yet. And it's not the best light, to be fair. But this is one of the crystals, rose quartz, that I found when I was out ley line hunting. And if you see how big
Nice pick.
that is quite a substantial rose quartz. How do you think you get out of the cycle of loss of willpower? Um,
Mm,
how do you think you get out of the cycle of loss of willpower? So willpower is self-motivation, isn't it? Um, and arguably, I would say probably something hard to regain when lost, because there's probably a lack of confidence in your ability, thus leading to you not wanting to try in the first place. So I would suggest that it starts by internally projecting a bit of love. And that love would be like positive affirmation. So I've got something over there called Reiki Principles. It says, just for today, I will not be angry. I will not worry. I will be grateful. I will do my work honestly. And I'll be kind to others. And as you're a feminine, I have something else, if you don't mind me sharing. I used to say this to my wife a lot of the time and get her to read it every morning. Um,
It's
And
funny how
this
everything
is,
comes back to self-love as well, man.
it does, mate, because once you heal yourself, you can love others. So for the women out there, beautiful rose quartz, do you do grid work with crystals? I haven't done grid work, but I have crystals absolutely everywhere. So today on my shamanic ways, I found this, which is another form of kind of milky quartz. And my house is absolutely littered with crystals. And you've got to appreciate from my previous wife, I've gone from a 6'3", 15.5 stone Royal Marines commando to a crystal wheeling, poet stealing kind of bit of in line with my feminine side. So I would love to talk to you about grid work crystals, but this thing here was in my kitchen, and I used to try and get my wife to say this every day, and it goes back to willpower, and more importantly, about self-love. My house is littered with crystals too. Trying to get Liam into it will come in time. Oh, so when I send you the crystals, you can then educate him on what they mean to you, and then hopefully by the default that he loves you, he will show such an interest that in time, if you keep badgering him like a woodpecker, he will jump on board. But it goes like this: Today, I will dance to the rhythm of life. I will express the truth that is in my heart, and I will do what feels good. I'll say no to what doesn't. I am open and ready to receive. I will allow myself to be guided and to let life be easy. I am a woman, perfectly imperfect and beautiful, just as I am. And when we refer to ourselves in the I am, fun fact, we are all walking crystals as crystals
Yes.
amplifying emit energy. As yes, yes, we are, because we are ultimately trying to ascend into a crystalline structure from a carbon-based structure. So you know what we're doing. So willpower, it's just about it's about inspiring yourself and allowing that child, like Jesus Christ said, to return to heaven, which is up in the head. It's the hemisphere. You must return to being a children. And when we look at children playing freely, so untraumatized and so pure-hearted, they've got all the willpower in the world because they've been unjaded by the external projections of the world.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, but I'll just keep talking. So
I
sorry.
love that, man. We went to the park yesterday, and the kids were just looking at the pond, looking at, and until we got down on their level, it was a completely different reality.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
beautiful, man. You know.
yeah. It is, and again, it's like you can do that with children. I saved a wasp the other day, and I put a picture up on my news feed.
Yeah, I've seen
Um,
that. Yeah.
like initially, I was a wasp there as I was driving down the motorway, and I'm like, oh. And you go back to default. You're like, I don't like that wasp. That wasp is going to sting me. But actually, if you take your soul out of your body and place it in, I feel our children teach us more about life than we teach them as parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that is very right. But people like yourself, Camellia, yeah, is they do teach us when we pay attention. But I think in the UK especially, we have a saying which is you're overworked, you're underpaid, and you're unappreciated. And so the dynamics of the family unit have been pushed and split so much that both parents are now working mostly full-time jobs, and the children get left to their own devices. So what you're talking about, and I know you're a bit of an angel by teaching your beautiful boy about homeschooling, you do get to learn off him as much as he learns off you, and that is the beauty of what you have and cherish so deeply in your heart, the pair of you. But for the conventional 2.4 children that are on the taxable system, they are they are strained so much that there isn't that one-to-one interaction with children that most children and adults both crave. A little statistic for you, or a little bit of education. Yes, indeed, we learn together. So in the Far East and in the West, whether you're talking the paddy fields of Thailand, Japan, or China, or you're talking about the indigenous peoples on the African plains, or the Amazonian indigenous rainforest people, the Incas and the Mayans, um, they will nestle and hold and cradle their children, babies, from birth until 1 year old. They're either slung across their chest
Wow.
or across their back. And the reason that is done is because is it Marcus Aurelius or Aristocles said, "Give me a boy to the age of 6, I'll show you the man they become." The first part of
Mm.
your life is so instrumental, and that first year, that mother son or mother daughter, mother baby bonding is so imperative that if we are crystalline structures like we just said, and we are always emitting a frequency, um, surely where would you want after you've nestled and grown this beautiful baby in the last 9 months of your life inside your womb? Well, surely having it across your chest or across your back where your heart chakra and your physical heart radiates pure love, all that's going to do is settle not only the child but the mother. And I don't know what the statistics are, but all those sort of children, or the children that are raised in those sort of environments, they've been shown to have less mental health, like down the line, lack low, not so much anxiety, depression. But again, we have to understand that we are so forced back to work in the West to
Yeah.
chase the pound or the
It's
dollar.
like 2 weeks and then you're back in.
Yeah,
It's
yes,
crazy.
it is. The child actually carries the mother's aura for the first 6 years of their life. You know, you know.
And I think more and more people are recognizing that something is wrong, because you mentioned about the UK, and it's like here, mate, as well. Like we go out as a family every morning on a walk to a park or wherever, and this whole time I've lived in the US, I haven't seen mum, dad, kids out all interacting. I haven't seen it once, mate. It's sad to say. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe once on a weekend, but the thinking about going back to work.
Yeah, look, what Moonwater Mum has said then, capitalism at its finest, heartbreaking, and without going down the deep-rooted, deep
Yeah,
state that we don't really want to go into, we must understand that the dynamic shift is to destabilize the family unit and break apart that and isolate. And it's proving, you can see it on the streets, single parents or parents on their own because the father's at work or the mother's at work or they split. And so I feel there needs to be a massive shift. And if you are a star seed, and not a lot of people like to talk about that, but the truth is you are descendant from the stars, whether you think scientifically in the Big Bang or by the fact you follow Jesus Christ or Islam or the Torah. Um, these sacred texts would tell you you're creating God's own image. Now, whether you think that's source, the creator, an external version of God, um, whichever way you look at it, by default, you are born, as it says on there, perfectly imperfect. And goddesses, it's heartbreaking. I was to say, it's heartbreaking. It's not just parents, it's grandparents, aunts,
uncle.
uncles, all.
Yeah,
It is. Um, we need to have more frank
yeah.
conversations, and we need to understand that, like for example, in the UK, the biggest rate of death in men under 50 is suicide, because what we're looking at there, from my perspective, from what I know, is when we look even pre-World War One and Two, that what's been passed down through generational parenting is that men can't speak, and I speak enough for most men. Um, but that's because that's how I've been taught by my mother and my father. So I feel very blessed. But we have to talk more, and the more we talk and connect, we understand that actually we're all cut from the same cloth, and we all have very unique human experiences. But we don't. That doesn't mean anyone else's issues or traumas are any more greater or any more challenging than any other one person.
Hey Eric,
They're
how
all
you doing, man?
they're all equal. Good evening, Eric. Um, but I
Yeah.
think there's massive scope for like deeper conversations at a later date.
Yeah, and we are doing it, mate. Like we're having this conversation now, so things are shifting. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That I
yeah,
can feel it. I just know, and yeah, it's yeah,
magical.
it is.
We're all magis in this world. We just
Yeah,
got to return to our power.
right. Has anyone got any questions? I can cut. I can if we go off topic, I can cut that part out because it's going to go on YouTube. This guys. So if you've missed the
Yeah.
whole beginning of the live, it's going to get uploaded on YouTube.
Shall I are we gonna can we call it? Shall I do my six? Shall I ding my singing bowl like I did before we come on here? Are we gonna
Yeah,
close? Your ideas for first steps to healing the
disconnect.
disconnect?
Your ideas for the first step to healing the disconnect.
Are we talking about the individual or are we talking about the collective? Because from the individual's perspective, I'd say the first thing we have to do is reconnect, and I'd say accept what you can't accept is a great way to start healing. I like
Mm,
it. Accept what you can't accept is
yeah,
yeah,
I love that, Joe.
yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I would say by being so disconnected, you have to be aware, and you are aware of the disconnect. So then reconnect by what makes you happy. And what I also say is a green space is a happy place, and a happy place is a happy face. So whether it's raining, whether it's liquid sunshine or it's glorious sunlight, get comfortable being uncomfortable. We live in the comforts of the four walls and glass windows. So if we step out and do a bit of dancing in the rain, there's a strong likelihood you're going to come back in and have a warm shower and get on some fresh clothing and a towel. And so
Yeah,
go go out and feel what it's like to have cold rain on your face, you know? I wouldn't say get sunburned. No one likes being sunburned, but do some sun gazing. And I wouldn't say, yes, David, don't do sun gazing first thing in the midday sun. I mean, if you all don't know what sun gazing is, there's plenty of information online to check that out. But for me, as a practicing shaman, good evening, Willie. I didn't realise you
hi,
were
William.
there. God bless you, my brother. I love you. Um, I like to sun gaze. It says it in the Bible, an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, right? Be blind in one eye. So, what I've done in early morning when I'm cold plunging and the sun comes up is I will make an effort, and I don't recommend it unless you've got poor eyes. Is I'll close an eye and I'll look up at the sun. Even better if it's behind a small cloud, and
Yeah,
try and allow that light energy into your eyes. And we are but light photons. Some would say we're holograms because we're vibrational atoms and we're vibrating so quick. Sun gazing is so healing. During the golden hours is the best. Margot. Um,
it's
and I'm at a
it,
point now. Go on.
it's funny, isn't it? How we get to we've been taught like the sun's this crazy, scary thing, and it's all inverted, isn't it, bro?
Yeah, it is, and it so is. Again, I'm not a health professional,
No,
so if you
we're
if,
not.
if you if you take my advice, it is at your own detriment. But I am sharing what has worked for me, and I feel from my heart chakra to yours listening in that I do, and I say this, and people think I'm mad, have an innate connection to Mother Earth, Father Sky, Brother, Sister, Moon, and Sun, and the stars. And I like Jesus Christ, he was willing to get crucified, like the apostles were. They would not deny what they knew to be true. I'm not going to go and I'm not comparing myself to Jesus Christ or a prophet, none of the above. But what I know to be real in my reality, I suppressed what I feel for 5.5 months for the sake of someone else's emotions and feelings. And it brought me great sadness
Yeah,
because I wasn't fulfilling my sole purpose. I sit here now so happy, so happy by what I know to be true. And it makes me smile because when you do develop your connection and you do have one foot in the astro realm and one foot in this physical 3D realm that I talk about, if you are where I am on my journey, would also feel happy. You would also be singing at the top of the chimney stack, or off a scaffold, or in the shower in the morning, or in the rain, because you understand that when I sing at my own expense, if someone's laughing at me or with me, I'm calling them Mother Earth. And she wants to hear me because we are but stewards of this land. And when you understand that we must return to her, to return to a child and seek the simplicities that is green space and trees and grass and dew and fog and cloud and mist and rain and haze and all those feelings that you've been told to wrap up in and shelter away from your body, they are just Mother Earth's way of talking to you. They are beautiful, and I'll just keep talking because it's so beautiful.
No, I could listen to you all day, mate. I'm sure everyone watching could. But it isn't, it's so important, man. It's so important to speak your truth. And I
Yes,
realize that now. And I was so shy. I was so afraid of what other people think if I actually said what I actually meant. But it would just destroy my soul keeping it in
yeah,
for the sake of other
yeah.
people. And it's
Oh,
almost,
good evening, Al. How you doing, Big Rigs? Big up the scaffolding community, my friend, the wise
hey.
royal. Thank you, my brother. We must meet you must come round for a herbal tea, or I can make you a mean espresso. Although Moon Water Bear would tell me that I've got to stop drinking coffee and drink the cacao, which we had this little discussion earlier. I've got my cacao, Peruvian organic cacao with honey, cinnamon, almond milk, and full fat milk, and it is delicious. And if no one knows about cacao, CACAO, I would ask you to look into it because it is beautifully beautiful.
Yeah, Eric. I feel, yeah.
I feel you're on that, Liam.
Just
Mm.
a quick one as well. I know we're sidestepping uh, on what the whole podcast intended to be, but that's
Okay,
fine. I feel like we've done it now. The podcast is kind of, we've
done.
done that deprogramming.
Yeah,
Um,
do the bell, do the singing bowl.
yeah.
Lovely,
Thanks for
lovely.
tuning in, everyone.
Yeah, see ya.
Yeah. Bye. Um, Something that you said to me just really resonated, and it was something like the moment you stop blaming the external for your internal, like, is the moment you'll see change.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
it's such a complex thing to talk about because if we're so identified with the ego, we do think the external is to blame for our internal, don't we? And
Yeah,
how can
go
you
on.
make that? How do we make those changes, or what have you done to make those changes? Because I know it's an ongoing battle every day
Yeah,
for me.
yeah. So for me, like people that know my journey, I've been exposed to like a lot of us have. I lost my mother on Christmas Day 2 years ago. I lost my friend on a roof in Afghanistan on Christmas Eve 2008. Subjected to child abuse, a kid bullied. Like a lot of people, we've all got a story to tell, and those layered traumas feed in to how we perceive the external, and the external is perceived through a childlike perspective, depending on when you've picked up that trauma. So if you imagine you are layered with these traumas, and until you can start working your way through each individual trauma. So most recent was my wife and children leaving. Then before that was my mother passing. Then it was Afghanistan. Then it was back to being a kid. Blah 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 until the point of creation, until you're willing to open up to what affects you internally, that dictates how you perceive the world, you can't begin to start the healing process. So it's by
Mm,
having a really frank conversation with not only your conscious and your subconscious mind, and really unpacking that. And I think whether you choose CBT, EMDR, um, art therapy, writing therapy, walks, talking to myself, talking to a family member in confidence. You have to begin that journey somewhere. But I will say, once you open that box, you don't know what's going to come out. I've wrote
Yeah,
a poem. It's like Pandora's box, and until you get to the bottom of that box, you're going to keep feeding into that negative external projection. Whereas now, like it's a continued work daily, granted, but
yeah,
I've got enough strings in my guitar that when I play that tune, it sounds like a melody. Whereas before, it just sounded like a really, really, really beaten out guitar. So
yeah.
you just have to really take your time, and seek professional advice if you're aware that you're struggling with how you perceive the external world. Um,
I love that, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no worries, guys. No worries. A problem shared is a problem halved.
It's
Um,
how we perceive our external world to how we are able to alchemize and change our internal world. Self-awareness is key to higher states of consciousness. Absolutely.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
And
Beautiful.
right, I want to kind of start wrapping it up now because
Ah.
kind of need the toilet, guys. I'm not going to lie, but I'll try and use my willpower just to
Just to hold in there.
hold in for a couple of minutes. But yeah, if you've missed out the podcast or the live, it's going to be uploaded on YouTube. I'll make a post on Instagram. Make sure you follow Daniel. He's got so much insight, so much experience, and so much love to give. At Cosmic Commando 369. Send me the links, mate, or I'll DM you if you want any links put in the video, or
Yeah,
put your
yeah.
Instagram in or whatever.
So
Yeah,
my Facebook's currently been hacked, and I'm waiting for Meta to get back to me, which, as we know, being a multi-billion-pound franchise that it is, it could be a long time. But
yeah,
yeah, you can catch me on TikTok and Instagram at Cosmic Commando 369. But I will send you the links also.
yeah,
And thank you, Liam, or Sovereign, as we
yeah.
say. Um,
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure, mate. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, and thank you everybody that's joined in and took the time to be mindfully present about our
Yeah,
discussion, because hopefully it's a first step in a journey, whether you message Liam or you message me. I am all ears and mouth and eyes to listen, and that's where it begins, by opening up our hearts to other people and sharing what we know.
yeah.
So thank you, Liam.
Lovely. Yeah, and I'll just do one quick shameless plug. Talking about breaking the cycle. Check out our shirt, Cycle Breaker.
Yes.
If we reach 100 followers, we're doing a giveaway. So, and we're like 3 away from 100 followers. So there you go. Share it. All
Send
right.
me the link and I'll give it a share. Send it. Thank you for sharing your
Yeah.
hearts with us. Much love to you, beautiful souls. Right
Oh,
back at you.
yeah.
Right back at you.
Yeah. Thanks for everyone. And yeah, might see you for the next one.
Yeah,
I want to do
for
more
sure. Let's
of
talk.
these.
Let's talk off comms, and let's go
Yeah.
for it again in a couple of weeks or something.
I could talk all day with you, man. I really could. So
Always,
we'll have to do another
always.
one.
Yeah,
All right.
amazing. All right,
All right, guys.
namaste, guys. Have a blessed
Yeah.
evening.
Yeah. Bye, guys. Bye.
Take care.